That's McCluskey and Unpopular Parts of a Pig. It's the title recording from the current EP. And Andrew Falkous from McCluskey, lowercase m, is with me now. Is the lowercase m, is that an affectation or is it actually important? Andrew, hello, by the way.
Hey, what isn't an affectation? I like the way things look lowercase. Uppercase, especially in something like McCluskey, can look a bit clunky and would have that obvious McDonald's patterning, which I don't think is an area of branding I wish to bring to my music. But yeah, lowercase, it looks nice, it looks clean, it looks neat, clean lines. You can and it looks boring on a t-shirt.
Yes, and I respect it absolutely, to the extent that over the years, since the BBC went digital and we have to post information and have something that's easily assimilated by our playlist systems, McCluskey's down with a capital M, and I have lobbied to have it changed to a lowercase m. I'm not joking. I've emailed the great and the good, and they can't seem to do anything about it. So
Butchers Garley, you got him involved, yeah?
I did, yes, and all of the other greats from history's past who stand on the right side of the fence, of course.
Of course.
Now it's very good to have you back in many levels. One, it's good to be speaking with you tonight, because there's no one quite like McCluskey or Grandma. So what is the service that you think McCluskey provide that's unique? Because I don't know whether you're necessarily aware of it.
That Grandma doesn't, you mean? So not
yes.
Scones and racism. We don't provide, to the best of my knowledge, scones or racism.
Good.
We're more of a tiger. We're more of a tiger roll and general tolerance kind of band. If that is a different area of the supermarket. But yeah, I don't know what we provide. I never think we're particularly like loud or vicious sounding until you hear it to the other things that you normally get to hear, I guess. And obviously there are plenty loud bands out there, but they tend to fall a little bit neater into their genres, maybe, or it tends to be more metal-y stuff. I don't know.
Because
I have no idea. It just is. It really is. It just exists as a manifestation of our silly personalities. Really.
Yes, yeah, and obviously this lineup has different silly personalities, or at least one different silly personality from the very original lineup of McCluskey. Is that one of the important? Well, is that one of the factors of what makes McCluskey, a certain blend of personalities and characters? Otherwise, this might as well be perhaps another Christian Fitness record or a Future the Left record, or a different entity entirely.
Yeah, completely. And Damien is in a lot of ways the gatekeeper of what McCluskey is. He's told me on a million occasions that doesn't sound like McCluskey, or that sounds more like Future the Left. And it's a little bit like it's a little bit like dealing with somebody who in a factory whose job is to, Willy Wonka or something, siphon things off down different chutes. But he does a good job at it, and B, he brings his own personality to the way he plays as well. Every musician's got those little things that they do.
Yeah.
Jack does little things on the toms. I've got little flicky things on the guitar. Damien loves a good bass slide, and we're all there to remind each other of the things you do which you just do automatically, which aren't necessarily the best thing.
Yeah.
And just the people in the room are very much what makes it. The songs are very rarely brought in and discussed over a cup of tea. They happen in those moments. They kind of come out of nowhere, really. And the only real skill is realizing which songs which come out of nowhere, working out which songs to take away and keep working on.
Yeah,
that's where the admin side of writing music comes in. But to just go into an environment and play music and to really enjoy it is the whole trick.
Yeah. And Damien, who you're referring to, that's Damien Sile, who was in a band called Homespun, back in the day, when he was living in Rhyl.
Oh, right.
That's where I think he grew up. Or I think they were called Homespun TC. I never knew what the TC stood for. Hopefully Top Cat.
Good Lord.
And then
Top Cat.
Still, yeah, Top Cat. And still, Sam Pierre Snake Invasion, fantastic band. Was it when Damien came in to McCluskey and you started touring for I think they were initially, were they anniversary shows that you were playing, or was it just, how did those initial McCluskey shows happen?
They initially happened because we'd been asked as Future of the Left to do a show playing Portals Festival in 2019, and we said yes to it, and then we realised we couldn't, which was on one level rude, but on another level the inevitability of having kids and all of that. But then the guy just said, would you do a McCluskey set? And it just seemed churlish not to. Now, the initial shows, which were 2014, 2015, they were very much Future of the Left playing McCluskey songs. That had a different vibe to it. It wasn't it's not that it wasn't authentic, but it was presented in a different way. Whereas from 2019 onwards, it felt more like a band. And again, you don't sit down and have a meeting about what a band is. Are we a band now? Just feels like a band.
Yeah.
So we did that show at Portals. I got a couple of offers through to do some other gigs, and I found that by virtue of not even going around and looking for gigs, the fact that people knew this thing was there, it made them very eager to want to put it on.
Yeah.
And it also means you can sit there and just wait for somebody to offer you as much money as seems appropriate, as opposed to, say, when you're touring a record, you got to fill in some dates, or some guy in Norwich offers you 46 pence and a 4-pack of Boosts or something. It was really nice, and to be in the position for once in our lives as well, where we could actually make money from shows, is just absolutely crackers. Yeah. And I still really can't get used to that. And the fact that we were able to do that meant that we were allowed to then give time to rehearsing, because it's not the cheapest endeavor, rehearsing, flitting between cities, getting trains, all of that kind of business. And it just all proved to be very enjoyable. And when something's enjoyable, you want to do it more. So 2019, and then the Dallas anniversary shows were 2022. Was it 2022? Yes, because the album was released in 2022, so that would have been the 20th anniversary. And they went okay, even though we were kind of coming in April last year, we were kind of shifting through another COVID wave, so maybe 15 or 20% of ticket holders didn't turn up, which was a shame, but more than understandable. Then, as you I had to cancel some shows because of ear issues that I had. And that's where we are now. Yeah, coming towards the end of 2023, facing the future with a combination of fear and disguised fear.
Yes. Just in terms, you're I was going to say creatively restless. I mean, you're a creative soul, obviously. So was it inevitable that at some point in those rehearsals, new things would happen, that a new single was inevitable, or was it not quite that simple?
No, it's not that simple. We didn't rehearse very much because, to be quite honest with you, rehearsing the set, a McCluskey set is, I can't use the language I would usually use on your radio program, but it's incredibly easy. The songs are ridiculous, almost farcically easy. They almost satire how easy rock music can be to play. They're physically quite demanding, particularly on the throat, but when Damien said, how long's the set? I said, it's about an hour and 10 minutes. He said, how long's that going to take me to learn? I said, about 30 minutes. Because some songs, they've only got one riff. So as long as you know where you're starting and stopping, then it's, jobs are good. And it's not the simple as I'm making it sound, because it's about the dynamic, and it's about and a lot of it's about the performance. But, it really is very easy. So we didn't need to rehearse very much. So writing was just let's see what happens. We had about 3 or 4 rehearsals last year where we came up with a couple of nice ideas, but nothing really hit, nothing really grabbed, nothing really crossed the streams. And then we started to do some writing, when I was experimenting with how I could play live with my new fractured ears. And 1 or 2 songs happened, and then once 1 or 2 songs happen, the whole thing just falls into place. It's almost like pressure floods away and you just start to enjoy the process. That's the one thing with being an older musician, which is much more exciting, is being completely present in the process of making music, as opposed to always thinking about the end point of where the music may take you.
Oh, I see.
And that's definitely the case for me.
Well, let's play.
Yeah.
Let's play another song from the EP now. So I don't know why I second guessed myself then. It's 4 songs, so I mean it must be an EP. Yeah. So this is McCluskey and The Digger You Deep. That's McCluskey and The Digger You Deep on BBC Radio Wales. I'm Adam Walton. This is Andrew Falkous, one of the members of McCluskey. It's almost like I'd shone a spotlight on you there and you had to do a little dance or something.
I'm on me tippy toes for you.
While I'm being trite, something that isn't trite, you mentioned the ear problems, the tinnitus that you had. This is obviously something that has afflicted many people, but many music makers over the decades, but to you, it was something that you thought was going to prevent you from being able to make music again. So, what was the resolution? Because this story may well be powerful to anyone listening who's facing similar problems.
Well, I think part of the resolution is accepting there's no resolution, really, and just to mitigate damage. After my initial experiences, which were a little bit to do with tinnitus, but also a kind of hyperacusis, which I've eventually learned to pronounce after 10 months of trying, which is basically a sensitivity to sounds. I couldn't even be in a room with a running tap for about 2 months. So the chances of making music looked incredibly slim. But working through different ways of doing it. I tried just in-ear monitors, but that didn't give me that much protection. It's drums and cymbals which will do it to you. It's the drums and cymbals which you, especially in some certain very tinny environments. And I tried lots of different things. I had a couple of false starts, but eventually we did some shows at the beginning of last August. We did shows in Sunderland, Leeds and Bristol. And I'm basically wearing in-ear monitors underneath ear defenders at the minute. And I thought I'd be really self-conscious about that on stage. But it turns out I really don't care. No, I was really, I'm not necessarily as physically confident as people who've seen us play live might assume. And I thought I would be quite sensitive. But I have a bit of an Easter Island head anyway, so it's not like it's dramatically increased in mass. But also, I don't think anybody's there to look at my pretty ears anyway. No. So covering them up and, trying to make it a feature rather than some source of shame. We're also using a drum shield, so like a Perspex drum shield. But, I tap on that during the gig and, swear at Jack through there. Yeah. Call it the Great Wall of Egglestone, really try and have fun with it and try and embrace it as opposed to some reason that people should feel sorry for you.
Yeah. The only time I've seen the Perspex shield on stage was My Bloody Valentine at Festival Number 6, I don't know, 10 years ago. And given the onslaught of noise that they were subjecting the audience to, it seemed slightly selfish that they were protecting themselves, So I'm not suggesting you're doing that. It just looked a little bit, I don't know. I thought there was some double standards at play here, perhaps.
It is like putting a plaster over a bear attack. Yeah, there's something as well. And because the thing is, we're a loud band, but it's never meant to be obnoxiously loud. It's genuinely not. I've worn ear protection for, pretty much since I was 29. 85% of the time, there's certain songs I had to say take an earplug out for, like Alan is a Cowboy Killer live, in order to be able to pitch it properly. But 85% of the time I was wearing like molded earplugs, musicians' earplugs. In fact, I was wearing them the night last November where most of the problems ended up going from, but it still didn't save me. But the thing is, we are a loud band. But I encourage people to, if something's too loud for them, to move away from the sound or to use rubber earplugs. I personally, people talk to me about, I remember when we went to that gig and my ears were ringing the next day. I never had that. I genuinely never had that. But it would, in my case, it's probably just attrition, years and years of doing it. And there had to be a point where I had to accept that there was the problem. I had to live with it to a degree. Even now, when I use proper ear protection, the next day it's like I'm in a field of cicadas. But I just have to live with it, really.
Did the health services the only time take it seriously for you? So sorry to interrupt, but did they take it seriously?
They actually did. Yeah. Well, I saw one ENT, an ear, nose, throat surgeon, who, I mean, they don't really see that from the perspective of a musician, especially not when they're being paid £215 for 30 minutes. His advice was just to go on tour, but that doesn't really take into account all the different things you have to deal with on tour and the realities of hearing things. I mean, listening is a musician's greatest weapon, really. You know, like the reason I'm a decent musician isn't because of the way I play guitar or sing. It's because I'm a good listener. I can listen to other things that people play. But I had a really bad experience with another illness a few years ago with the NHS. But my like local GP surgery and everything really did take it seriously. It wasn't just a question of here's some medication, now go away and die in a corner like an injured fox. It was pretty good. I've tried all the different therapies, like, you know, I've had needles stuck in me. I've been massaged within an inch of my life because a lot of my factors are also to do with somatic factors, so muscular factors around my neck and my shoulder. But the underlying cause is exposure to loud music over years, and that's just the way it is. So if playing gigs made it significantly worse in the long term, I would have to stop.
Yeah.
So that point may come on, but believe me, I'm going to be in as much denial about it as possible, because aside from raising a child, which is the most wondrous, amazing thing, making music is pure magic. And if I took it out of my life, I'd be a very sad fellow.
We're going to play another song from the EP now. We're going to play Fan Learning Difficulties, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes' time. McCluskey and Fan Learning Difficulties from the Unpopular Parts of a Pig EP that's available via Bandcamp. And at this point in time, you mentioned being a parent and that being source of joy in your life, Andrew. What does your daughter make of your music? My daughter heard lots of Future to the Left when she was growing up. I'm in the car and it was Shouty Man. That's how she knew you, because
Shouty
Man. But I think that she liked you. And earlier we talked about, you know, what you do, and what you do really is write and record pop songs with all of the elements of a pop song are present and correct, you know, hooks, melodies. Perhaps there is a little bit more in the frenetic in your music, but all of those things are there, and I think that they're recognisable by kids. So what does your daughter make of McCluskey?
Oh, I mean, I'm very proud to say that several of the nicest moments in my life have been when she is engaged with the music, just, you know, by virtue of overhearing it and wanting to get involved. She loves the McCluskey song "Alan is a Cowboy Killer." She loves that song, and she loves the song on the EP called "This Is Your." That was My Brain on Elves, which I recorded when I was meant to be giving her a bath. I recorded the backing vocals, and I have a version with her doing the vocals in the chorus, but it seemed a little bit too twee to release, because it's very, very sweet. But she saw us play live at 2000 Trees Festival last year in the middle of the day. I just had to make sure that Julia covered her ears during the language on the song Chasers, and also the first line of Gareth Brown said there had to be a tactical. I mean, she was wearing ear defenders anyway, of course. She was at the side of the stage, but Julia had to then put her hands on top of the ear defenders for the first line of Gareth Brown said. So, but she does, I think, delight in telling the kids in school that her daddy swears in her songs. I think obviously it gives it that little bit of extra frisson for a 6-year-old, doesn't it? The idea that, which is laughable in reality, that a daddy is in some way dangerous or countercultural.
There's a lot of love for your band internationally. I don't know how we quantify love, but obviously, I mean, as you know, because you tour Australia, you must get emails and I don't know, requests for interviews and the likes, from the States and across Europe as well. Did that make it hard, at all intimidating, thinking of adding to what you'd recorded previously? Because they're kind of untouchable as far as some people are concerned. There's quite a legacy to add to, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a responsibility there, but rock music, as much as it's magic, it's not religion. It's not. There's no need for sacred texts, and if a band release a record you don't like, you can choose to ignore it. That's what I would do, certainly. I mean, there's bands I love where there's certain records I'm not as keen on. It doesn't really affect the way I look at them. I just think in those moments they didn't appeal to me as much. But but there's just not going to be a problem. The writing the songs bit is easy. The hard bit is the bits to get all of our schedules, all having kids together and living in different cities so we can be in the same room and play. Accepting it's not always going to work, but when it does work, just go for hell for leather and play and play and play. Write as many songs as you can. Make hay while the sun shines. And the writing the songs bit is easy. It's going to be great. And I really get the feeling, and I can't say this necessarily for most of my career, I really get the feeling that people really want us to succeed.
Yes.
There's a palpable feeling of that. They really want it. And I think we could have delivered. That's something that bands do, don't you know? They deliver albums. Then they drop them. That's the order: deliver, then drop. But I really do think people want to succeed. The album's going to be great, and at least in our own terms, the people who like the band are really going to like it. Some people are going to like it more than others. Some people are going to be a little bit more trapped by the nostalgia, which I understand. I love my grandparents too, but it's going to be simple. Honestly, it's we've got the whole thing of it. It's got its title, it's got its spirit. So it's going to be fine. I would say to anybody who's worried, simply redirect that worry towards something more constructive.
And when's that likely to happen? Because just to add an addendum, if that's the right word, to the question, I know that when you've had plans for releases, well, the McCluskey anniversary release that you mentioned. Things. I mean, the industry of making albums, pressing albums, but even pressing CDs can be fraught sometimes. So do you have to take that into account when you think of a release date for a new McCluskey album?
I do now, because of the experience I've had with the Dallas reissue, which has been nothing short of insane. I now have finished records in my possession as of yesterday, which I can send out. I can't talk you through the entire process because it's an epic. Peter Jackson would probably choose not to get involved on length grounds, but I think we're there now. So I can send out some records next week, but it's been an insane procedure involving four different pressings now altogether.
Crikey.
But they are now here with me, and I will send them out, and then they will no longer be with me. It's been a little bit of a mental block for me, that. But yeah, well, ideally we'd get the McCluskey stuff, finished recording it in Feb. We're going to re-announce our American shows. I mean, I'm not, but hopefully for March, it's looking likely. So we'll be doing Australia, January, March, maybe do some European shows. But ideally, the album will be written and recorded by February or April. So we rehearse once a week. That's pretty much, all we can, but all we need to do. I'd love to get it out next summer, but different people in the band have got different work commitments, so stuff's just going to have to be based around that.
Oh, well, that kind
Unfortunately, it can't always happen as quickly as you'd like.
Yes, but it sounds like you're quite pragmatic and philosophical about that, which, given the experiences that you've had, that you've just kind of glossed upon. I guess you gloss over them, but
gloss through.
gloss through. Yeah. Oh dear me. Listen, it's been so lovely speaking with you, and as someone who's been a long-term lover of what you do, musically speaking, it was genuinely exciting listening to this and rewarding, and I'm very much looking forward to an album. So we'll play the last of the songs from the EP. That was My Brain on Elves, and I didn't know any other way to say it, really. They are the words, and that's how you pronounce them. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good luck with all of the stuff that you've just talked about, and really appreciate your time.